everybody, Fiona here, and I am standing in for Jenny Lynn today, and we're going to do a fantastic Hometalk live for you, doing some really cool decor using napkins. And it's one of those things that we've all got hanging around the house, and why not make something beautiful out of it? So the first thing I'm going to ask is, where are you all tuning in from? Hopefully we've got people from all over the world watching us today. We have usually got people from literally the US, Canada, the UK, everywhere around the world. So let us know, and we have got a question for you as well. If you were going to do something like this, what would you decoupage? And that's what we're doing, decoupage. So I'm going to start off with this. This is a very simple box. I bought it from the dollar store, and you can do this technique that we're going to try today on canvas, on wood, on furniture, pretty much anything. You can even do it on cardboard. So I'm going to just pop the plastic and take it off. Now this cost me $3, and that's $3 Canadian from the dollar store. And you can see it's a pretty substantial little piece of kit. And I have got some beautiful napkins here. I've got some lovely things. And if you're watching right now, if you want to share this DIY so that all your friends can see all of the amazing things that we do, we'd really appreciate that. And if you hit like or give us some love, say hello so we know that you're watching, that would be fantastic. Just say again, we've got this fantastic giveaway. We're going to be giving away some Fusion Mineral Paint, and we're also going to be giving away a Hometalk tote bag. So if you can answer the question as to what you would decoupage, that would be fabulous. So here we go, we've got all of these, and if you want to comment as to which napkin you think I should use, please do, and hopefully my marvellous assistant will tell me. So I'm going to start off. I could do my decoupage directly onto this wood. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to give it a quick coat of paint. So I think I'm going to go with something light to start off with, because one of the things you need to know about napkin decoupage is that the paper is very thin, and whatever you use as your background colour is going to pop through. So let's choose this lovely little stalk from Tones for Tots. Gorgeous pale lilac. It's just got like a lavender hint to it. And I am going to just take that off. I'm going to literally never waste anything. Pour that on there. I'm going to grab one of my brushes. Now, something I'm going to tell you about brushes, whenever you're painting, whether it's furniture or not, it's a really great idea to start with a damp brush. And this is slightly damp, and if I can just show you on the paper here, hopefully that will show up. No? There we go, you can see it's just slightly damp. And that will always allow the paint to flow down the bristle, and that'll give you a much better result than if you're working with a very dry brush. So I'm going to just paint a very thin coat. I'm not going to worry about doing it in a particular order. I'm not going to worry about going with the grain, because I just want a very thin coat of paint on here, just basically so that I'm covering it. And look at the coverage on that, super pretty. I hope you can see the lilac tone just sitting in there. And I actually kind of want to create a bit of texture on here, so I'm going in every single direction. I don't want to have a super smooth finish, because actually when I do decoupage, I don't want it to be perfect and pristine. I'm going to do my edges. Now, a really good tip for doing edges if you're trying to get something really smooth, particularly if you're doing, say, something like kitchen cabinets, is just to hold it like this and just pull it down, and that will enable you to get a really nice clean edge on your work. You can also do this, and I'm going to do each of those edges in turn. Look at that. Have we got any questions coming up? Where is everybody calling in from? That's what I'd like to know. Or not calling in from, who's calling in?
We've got people from London, UK. We've got lots of states in the US. A wide variety right now.
Oh, to give me some specifics so I can say hello and hope that they've got better weather than we've got in Toronto today.
We've got Northwest Ohio.
Hello, Northwest Ohio.
What else have we got?
We've got some...
Yeah, from London, UK.
Hi, London, UK.
Alabama.
Well, if you need to know where to get this paint from, you can buy this from FusionMineralPaint.com.
Arlington, Texas.
This is a predominantly furniture paint, and the coverage is amazing. It's made with pigmented with minerals, so you get this really great coverage, which is UV stable. So again, if you're doing any of this kind of stuff, you want to put something outside, the colour's not going to fade. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this to one side. I'm going to, hopefully, it'll dry off pretty quickly, and then I'm going to pick up some napkins. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what not to do, because what you don't want to do is end up with something that has a stiff, perfect line. So this piece of napkin here, the first thing I want to do is, rather than cut it, because I could cut it with my scissors, you see, and I don't worry about the dimpling around the edges, so I could cut it with my scissors and try and get a perfect finish, try to get it all the way to the edge, just like that. But you know what? That's a lot of work, and essentially, I'm super lazy. I like an easy to use craft job. So, what I'm going to do, let's see if we can get close up on this, I'm literally going to rip this paper napkin just around the edges, and what that will do, that will give you a super soft finish around the edges. There's no harsh line. And when you're doing your decoupage with paper napkins, what you don't want to find is that you're getting those harsh lines, and if you've got a white background, you don't want to have too much differentiation. So when you rip it, it just makes it that little bit softer, and you don't have to worry about a snip line like I was getting on my other piece here. So the other thing I need to show you, and this is very, very important, most napkins are several plies, so several ply paper. And the first thing I want to do is I want to remove the 3 layers. So there you can see, taking one layer off there. Can you see that? Very simple to do once it's actually ripped. Now I know that there's another layer lurking on here, and this is always the trickiest bit. So I'm saying there's another layer lurking on here, I'm sure that there is. You know that because I'm doing this live, I'm not going to be able to get hold of that lurking layer. Have we got any questions coming in, Nick? Anybody want to know? Or anybody suggesting which napkin I do on my final piece? There we go, look, there is.
There we go. A lot of people are saying the type of decoupage they've done before, things like paper mache boxes.
Oh, fantastic.
They've done various bits of furniture. One question, do you need to buy good quality napkins?
Actually, no. I don't think you do. Obviously, if you're just playing around and you want to test it, don't put a cheap napkin onto something that is very expensive or that you're actually worried about, because you want to make sure the ink doesn't bleed. Now, I've never actually had that happen to me, not to say it wouldn't, but don't go for napkins that have that kind of plastic coating on them. Go for the proper tissue paper napkins. So there you can see, that is how I just separate. Anybody giving me suggestions as to which napkin I should use on my decoupage? Look at these gorgeous peonies. We've got some ferns. We've got some roses. We've got these little raggedy tulips.
Gina asks, she says, I've heard you can do this with fabric.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can do it with fabric and with wrapping paper and with wallpaper. In fact, the next step of what I'm going to tell you is just to show you a little bit about the difference between decoupage and transfer. Now, the product that I'm going to use today for my decoupage is this. This is the Fusion Mineral Paint Decoupage and Transfer Gel. So yeah, double use, lots of different things you can do with it. And really, I wanted to show you the difference between decoupage and transfer. So when you use this...
We're getting a lot of votes for the peonies, by the way.
Oh, okay, we'll do the peonies then. Okay, there we go. Well, that's good, because guess what? That's my favourite. Perfect. So I'm going to open up my transfer gel. Again, waste not, want not. Let's keep that on here. And this is available from Fusion Mineral Paint merchants. You can buy it directly from them. Go in and see them. They're full of great information, all sorts of stuff. And they also do workshops. So if you're not sure about tackling this project on your own, go and ask them for a decoupage workshop. So what I want to show you right now is I've got some black and white striking wrapping paper. Transfer is when I paste my wrapping paper wrong side down. So I want the glue to be underneath, I paste it down, and so that the ink ends up transferring onto here. Now I hope that you can see close up, I've left some of the paper on here, because what we do, I'm just putting a bit of water on my finger, and to get rid of the paper, you literally just rub it away. And that's a very different look. You can see, even though it looked almost, there was nothing left, you can see there is some paper left on here. Now you get this little clouding effect, but I'll show with you an insider tip. If you do transfer gel and you are left with some of this clouding, put a little bit of either Fusion Mineral Paint Tough Coat on it and that will disappear, or add a little bit of hemp oil or wax, and again that will really make it disappear.
Kelly asks, can this be done on canvas?
It absolutely can. In fact, I have a canvas somewhere around which I will show you shortly. And it works beautifully on canvas. This item behind behind me, I actually bought this, and this is decoupage. And this is a poster which has been painted on, stuck onto boards and then just sanded down. And there we go, beautiful decoupage, nice wall art. So there we go, so that is what we would call transfer gel. So let's see if this is drying. I'm going to waggle this around a little bit to dry it more with my paint. And whilst I'm doing that, I will show you what you can do with decoupage. So look at this, on the front of here, this was a little piece that I painted using the Homestead House Texan Rose milk paint, and then I used some of the fresco for texture, and I just decoupaged on a little bit of that peony. And all I'm going to do is get the edging, and I'm just going to sand it back so that I can see all the lovely, pretty pink coming through. And at the same time, when you stand back from it, it gives you a gorgeous, gorgeous finish. I'm just going to ask Nick if he can zoom down here onto the top of this dresser that we have, and you can see exactly what that peony looks like once you've applied it and got the painted decoupage on there. So you can do everything from wood to canvas. You don't have to use napkins, you can use fabric, you can use wallpaper, and you can use wrapping paper. Wrapping paper is great because we've all got it, it's cheap and it's easy to use. So let's do a little practice run whilst my paint dries, because there's nothing worse than watching paint dry. So where's everybody calling in from? And don't forget to answer the question, what would you decoupage
We
when
have
you can win?
South Africa, we have Phoenix, Arizona, we have California, lots of California.
Oh wow, they've got better weather than us today.
More South Africa, we have, wow, lots.
Wow, amazing. Give us a thumbs up, give us some love and some hearts, and share the live with your friends, that would be fantastic.
Costa Rica, Illinois, New York.
Wow, amazing. So here's a tip for you. If you want to put your decoupage right up in the corner like this, by all means stick with the square. If you don't want to, and you just want to think, okay, I'm just going to carry on and just do the nice soft lines on the edges. See how inaccurate I'm being with my ripping of the paper. I am really not worrying about it at all. I'm really not concerned about having a little bit of the decoupage image ruined. And that's the other thing, when you actually stick it down, sometimes it all goes a bit wrong. And look at that, that's peeled away beautifully. You can see 1, 2, 3 ply, 3 layers. I just want the top layer with the print on it. So shall I do it on top of here? Because this is an important lesson too. Whatever is underneath, obviously, is going to show through. So this was my half and half, so I could show you what we started with, then a coat of Fusion Mineral Paint. I actually done a little bit of the transfer there. Let's move these out of the way. And here we go. Let's get some glue going on. So I am not going to choose my very best brush. Whilst this is all water wash up and it will wash beautifully, I'm just going to grab one of my little workshop brushes, a little workhorse. I do all sorts of things with these brushes and they go on really well. So I'm just going to throw, see, no accuracy required whatsoever. And I'm going to go part way across these stripes so that you can see the difference between having something underneath the decoupage and having nothing underneath it, just a flat colour. Now here is top tip number 2. Top tip number 1 being rip the edges. Don't try and place it down, let it fall. So you've got a close up on this, Nick? Just let it fall like that, you see? And what I'm now going to do, I'm going to reach down below and grab an everyday item. Now in England we call this cling film. This side of the pond is called, and I always get this wrong, I call it saran wrap, but it might be saran wrap. I don't know, maybe one of you can correct me. So I'm going to take some of this, I'm going to stick with calling it cling film, I'm afraid. I'm going to take some of this, I'm just going to pull it off here, and I'm going to put it in my hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a small amount of the Fusion Mineral Paint Decoupage and Transfer Gel onto here. And then I am going to very gently just drop it right on top of there. Now the reason for that is this is going to allow me to just push the glue that's underneath out without ripping the paper, because our hands, although our hands seem very smooth, it's very tricky to actually work with tissue paper that has got this wet glue on it. Next I'm going to get some more saran wrap, and I'm going to try and make a little, almost a smooth ball on there. Put some saran wrap on there, and then I'm going to work, and this is important, next top tip, work from the centre out. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there, so I'm working from the centre. And the only reason I'm using the glue on top is because it just makes it glide more easily. And I'm working from the centre out to the edge. And honestly, wrinkles are not a concern. If you get a wrinkle, so be it. But what I love about this is that I can make a beautiful piece of artwork that looks as though I have worked so hard on it, and I'm an amazing artist and painter, when actually, guess what? It's from your napkins. Now here's your next tip. If I was to lift this directly up, pull it straight up vertically, it's going to bring the paper with it. So what I want to do, I want to fold it, and I want to pull it very gently all the way back, just like this, because what I don't want to do is pull the paper up. Now I can see there's a little area here where I haven't got enough glue on, and because I've got my little ball of paper with a little bit of decoupage on it, very gently.
Jean Allen asks, can we put this on wood like a cabinet?
Oh yes you can. In fact, I've got a piece of raw wood right beside me to show exactly what you can do. Just make sure that it hasn't got any wax on it, or if you have got a waxy finish, or any grease, just give it a clean with something like TSP or TSP equivalent. Degrease it. If you've got wax on it, take that off using mineral spirits or an odorless solvent, and you'll be absolutely good to go.
And getting it, because there's a larger new audience now, I'm getting a couple of questions as to what kind of paper that is and what material you're using right now.
Just a quick recap for those of us that have just joined. What I'm doing is I am grabbing some very ordinary household paper napkins, ones that you can buy in the dollar store, ones you can buy in the high-end store, doesn't really matter, just as long as it's got a pattern and a picture on it that you love, and we are making some wall art. So what I've got here is some half and half. So again, for those that have just joined, we started off with plain wood. It was painted with a coat of fusion mineral paint. And I actually, because I wanted to show the difference between transfer and decoupage, because it's a question we get asked often, these stripes are done with the transfer gel. So that is where, just like here, you have your paper print side down, and you can do this, you have to use a laser printer, or, because again, wrapping paper is really easy to get hold of, I use wrapping paper, paint it print side down, exactly the same technique as you used with the decoupage, push it out from the edge to get rid of any bubbles, and then when it's done, what we do is we break the seal of the paper using water. So let me just, I probably can't do that, I haven't got enough water here, so can you see, just by using my finger to rub, I'm breaking the seal of the paper there, and I'm able to take off those layers, and that is what you call transfer gel. It's the same product, but just used in a different method.
Yeah, someone's asked, Regina's asked, can it be transferred on a glass window?
Ooh, good question. I've never tried it. Now, if I were to try it, I would do it using Ultra Grip, and actually, you can see right here I've done it onto metal. So this, again, I didn't take it all off because I wanted to be able to show you just how easy it is to do. But this, I painted directly onto metal, and I actually put a coat of Ultra Grip on first, and then the transfer on top of that, and that was just using a laser printer. So yeah, that's a really good question. You know what? Best thing to do, buy a cheap dollar store vase and try it. And then you've lost nothing. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can just paint it, and then you can do the decoupage on top, or the transfer on top. So that's our transfer. So hopefully that's given you a good idea as to the difference between transfer gel, take the paper off using your finger, and decoupage. Now this needs a little bit of time to dry.
I have a couple of questions related to using photos. People are asking, are they able to do the same thing with photographs?
Yes, the way that you would do that is you would actually have your photograph printed, and you need to use a laser printer. It won't work with just an inkjet printer. Now, you could get them printed at one of the print stores, so Staples or UPS, or if you've got a local print store like close to you, and they use laser printers. Or you can use a colour photocopier, same thing. Or if you've got a laser printer at home, do that. And you can make some amazing, really great finishes using that. And on wood, it looks great. It looks really, really good. So, for example, I've got a piece of barn board here. And if I were to do this onto here, you would actually see the wood showing through. So I can do that for you. If I get enough thumbs up and enough likes and enough people sharing this with all of their friends, then I will do this on barn board for you. And don't forget, tell us what you would decoupage so that we know, and you can win some Fusion Mineral Paint goodies and you can win a Hometalk tote. So come on, tell us
Nancy
what you've got.
asks, do you need to reverse print for writing?
Absolutely, great question. If you're using transfer gel and you've got some writing on there, and yep, you have to reverse print, otherwise it's going to come out mirrored and then nobody's going to understand what it is. But so that's again with wrapping paper. If you're choosing wrapping paper to do transfer, make sure it hasn't got any writing on it or numbers on it, or it's going to look very peculiar. So hopefully this is dry. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Just about dry. I'm going to move this out of the way.
Could you do this on cardstock, Sandra Ann asks?
You could with the decoupage, not with the transfer gel if you're doing transfer, because obviously if you're doing the transfer you've got to get it wet. And you can do a bit of wet sanding on there as well on the transfer gel. So we've got our half finished piece over here, which we're going to hopefully allow to dry. It's probably not going to dry by the time we've finished what we're doing. So,
while you're prepping for that, if you could just quickly outline the steps you've taken so far.
Absolutely. So, step one, we started with plain wood. So this is a $3 frame from the dollar store. The large one is $4. So look at that, you get double the size for an extra $1, a bargain. And these are great because they're really sturdy. But you can do this onto canvas, you can do this onto wood, you can do this onto furniture, and I'm going to show you a piece of furniture properly in a second. And what we're going to do is make ourselves feel like proper artists. So step one, you don't even have to paint it, you could decoupage directly onto there. Step two, I have actually painted it. I haven't really given this paint much time to dry. But let's have a look at this little guy, this napkin here. What do we think? Is that a perfect fit? Almost? Do you think that would make a nice picture? We got some thumbs up on that one, Nick?
I think there's a definite caution on that picture.
Okay.
There's not a lot of feedback on that one, not many thumbs. Oh no, here's some thumbs.
Yeah, we can ditch that one. Or the ferns. I thought the ferns would be rather pretty. Just to show you that you can do an entire piece, because you can stencil on top of
the ferns are getting an awful lot more love.
Okay, we'll go with the ferns. Forget about the other one. So with this one, I'm actually going to go for a bigger piece because I want to show you that you can, using the technique and the saran wrap. So that was the step two was getting your napkin and then separating it. Step three was the saran wrap. So we'll run through that again. Step one, I painted the background. Remember, whatever the background colour you have, that's what's going to show through. Step two, because I'm actually going to use a large piece of this napkin, we're going to come in, zoom in again, and we are going to just separate. See, 1, 2, 3 plies. Now they don't always make this easy, these napkins. Sometimes they rip. We don't really mind that too much, but look at that. It really does come away easily. And there are such beautiful napkins out there. If you go on Amazon or look online, oh my goodness, sometimes you just can't quite believe the actual beauty of the artwork that goes into them. So with this one, there we go. I'm not going to worry about placement. I don't really care that it's got the folds in it. The first thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to go back and get in my Fusion Mineral Paint Decoupage and Transfer Gel. And I am being fairly generous with this, and I'm painting it in every direction. And you might ask, why did I bother painting this if I'm going to decoupage all over it? Well, the reason being, on this particular piece, I didn't really want the wood colour showing through. And this lovely faded kind of lavender colour of the little lamb from the Tones for Tots line is just perfect. And you can get all these paints and all of these products from your Fusion Mineral Paint merchants. There's plenty all over the world, the UK, Europe, Australia, North America. Go to fusionmineralpaint.com and I think it's /where to buy, and you'll be able to find it. So again, next step. Step one, paint. Step two, decoupage. Step three, and I'm just going to drop that on there. See, I just dropped it flat down.
I'm being asked by Rachel Greenfield, can you use PVA glue?
I haven't, because it's quite watery. I have used PVA glue for doing transfers before and it worked fine. I think if I was using PVA glue, I might use PVA glue that had been sitting out for a little while so that it had thickened up a little bit. The only thing that you'd want to watch with the PVA, it can dry with a shine to it. So as long as it had a matte shine, then yes. This is designed specifically for transfer, and also what that means is if you're going to do it on furniture, this is really tough. Whereas a PVA, I would be concerned that if it got wet, it might reactivate the glue. I know that doesn't happen with this. So next step, we're going to go back to our cling film stroke saran wrap. And I'm going to take a bigger piece this time because I know that I've got a bigger piece to do. And I'm going to, again, give it a shake out, put it on my hand. I'm going to take some, I can put it flat to do this, I'm going to just take some of the decoupage glue, and I'm not worrying about the fact what's underneath. All I'm doing with this decoupage glue on here is just using it for smoothing. And I'm going to just pop that glue side down on top of my work, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to reuse the piece of saran wrap that I had earlier, and I'm putting a blob of glue on here, put a few blobs randomly on here, and I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to push out to the edge because we want to push any bubbles all the way out. There we go, doesn't matter if that happens. And if I haven't put quite enough glue on the actual piece of wood, that's fine because we can just add a little bit afterwards. But the purpose of using the saran wrap is so that you don't actually cause any tears. So maybe what I should do in a second is I should just show you on this corner, let me just show you what would happen if I was to do this with my finger. You know it's not going to tear now, don't you? You see how it's wrinkling there? And put a bit of saran wrap. Oh, it's not going to tear, but quite often, if you see, when I try and do it wrong, it doesn't work. When I try and do it right, it goes wrong. So quite often, if you do it with your finger, it tears. Now, do you remember what the next step was? Anybody going to volunteer with the answer for me on there, Nick? We don't pull it directly up, because if I do that, it's going to pull off the paper. You see just how it did just there, because I pulled it directly up. So don't worry too much, just get my saran wrap. But I'm going to pull it back very close to the edge, just like that. And there we go. And I'm going to just have a little quick look at it, push it a little bit more, and what will happen, I don't worry about these edges because once this is dry, I'll be able to just use my little piece of sanding sponge and just get a perfect edge around there. Let's see if I can make this tear. No, it's not going to happen. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what happens when you press too hard. That's what happens. But do you know what? If Nick was to zoom out right now, you will not notice that in an overall piece. You see? So let's go back to the first piece that we did. So again, the steps, no paint, paint, that's actually transfer gel, decoupage. And you could have that just on its own, finished like that, perhaps do a little bit of stenciling on top of there. It's Fusion mineral paint I've used on there. And what I really want to just show you, last of all, just before we finish, so I've got this on a larger scale here, and what I've done, this is where we've got our nicely dried decoupage. So
Karen asks, why do you not use Vaseline on top to save your glue?
I don't really understand the question.
Okay, well we'll move on.
Oh, you mean on the, I guess she means on the
top of the cling film.
Because I happen to have the glue in my hand, I can wipe it straight back into the container, and I wouldn't want to contaminate it with Vaseline. Plus, I don't really like Vaseline on my hands, so that's why. So, I just want to show you. This is a piece of artwork that we used fresco on, and so you can see nice lumps in it. And this is canvas. Everybody that was asking if you can do this on canvas, and so I'm just going to sand it so you can see just how you can actually be quite vicious with this. And you can see just how, see how we've got the nice bits of the paintwork coming through. And pop this back down here. And then the last thing I'm going to show you before we're done is this piece here, which was these exact napkins, just on a rougher surface. And look at that. Now, if those of you that are regulars on the Hometalk live from Jenny Lynn might recognise this piece of board as one that she actually did a world map stencil on not so long ago. This, I did the exact same technique. All it was we had the, it's a rough barn board, you can hear how rough it is. I pasted down the actual paper and decoupage and then just sanded through, because I really like this look that you get when you actually see the woodwork through it. And you can do this on floorboards and just use a nice floor finish on top. You can do this on furniture, use the Fusion top coat once it's done, and it really does make for some very, very pretty work. So I'm just wondering if we've got any entries into the competition, if we've got anybody who has told us what they might like to do their decoupage on that might want to win that amazing prize of some Fusion mineral paint goodies and the Hometalk tote bag. Anybody? No winners?
The winner is Tracy Livingston.
Tracy Livingston. Make sure, Tracy, that you send us a message on Fusion Mineral Paint website and make sure you make yourselves known to the Hometalk girls, and they will send you the tote bag. We will send you some Fusion Mineral Paint goodies. We are live again with a fantastic DIY at 5 p.m. Eastern tonight. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned lots. My aim is always to give you lots and lots of information that you can then apply to any project. And I'm just going to finish off by asking Nick to maybe zoom in onto some of this beautiful, beautiful decoupage, and just goes to show you what you can do with some leftover napkins that you have at home. So please share, please like what we've shown you, and I really hope to see you again. I'm Fiona DeBell, and thank you very much, Hometalk, and we will see you again at 5 o'clock tonight with another great DIY. Bye!